Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Today is Friday, July 26th of 2024, and we are on day 4 of the Ashley Benefield trial, what they are calling the Black Swan Ballerina trial out of Bradenton, Florida, Manatee County. Ashley Benefield is 32 years old, and she stands charged with the second-degree murder of her late husband, Doug Benefield. Good morning. Such a difference between this trial and the last trial that we watched, the Karen Reed trial, in that this trial is moving at lightning speed. The state has already rested in the first 3 days, and a lot of those first 3 full days were spent doing motions and other things. So I can't believe they put on their entire case in 3 days. Today, the defense is going to start their case. And I believe that the first witness is going to be the family court lawyer of Ashley Benefield. Good morning, Chica. I'm so happy you found me too. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is a safe place for survivors and victims, depending on what they like to be called, to share their stories and to talk about their experiences. And if you are new to this chat, you are going to learn a whole lot of things that you may not have known before about the dynamics of coercive control and women and men who stay in DV relationships, why they stay, why it's hard to leave, why you don't tell anyone. But he said it only took 2 days because they had no evidence. Thanks, Karen. Thanks for that. This judge is unbelievable. He's been sitting at the bench since 8:45. He is there on time. He's ready to go. He's had his coffee. He is no nonsense. Some people think he wasn't fair yesterday. I didn't like his ruling on not allowing the Google searches in. Here's Ashley walking in, so let's turn it on. So yes, though, there's Jules, our court watcher, sitting right there in the courtroom. Hi, Jules. I saw somebody say hello to you in the chat, so maybe you're allowed to use your phone until they hit the gavel. And if you can, hello, Jules. We love you. You look gorgeous today. Jules called in yesterday during the lunch break to talk to us about her observations in the courtroom. Hi, Jules. We're on a little bit of a delay, so maybe she'll see me. Hi, Jules. Maybe she'll wave back. Jules, you're on camera right now. I find it really hard to believe that there's not more court watchers in this courtroom. It's open to the public. Anybody who wants to go can go. If there are seats available, and there are plenty of seats. Hey, girl. There she is. Just wave to us. She wants to come on today too. Okay. We'll see. I'd like to split this into 2 streams today, I think, for morning and afternoon, because sadly what happened yesterday, and I'm not even sure why, is that shortly after the stream ended, I think it was 8 hours yesterday, it was demonetized for some unknown reason. YouTube has this bizarre sort of AI algorithm, and they scan through your video to see if there's anything that they call advertiser unfriendly or unfriendly to advertisers. And so they will not share ad revenue with you for the entire 8-hour stream because they deem it to be unfriendly to advertisers, because there are topics that YouTube doesn't want us to talk about. And I guess this is one of them. So there's nothing worse than sitting on stream for 8 hours and then at the end of the day, an hour after it ends, seeing it be demonetized. And that's not the worst of it. It's not about the money for me. It's about getting the word out. And what happens is, when that happens, they shadow ban your video so it doesn't get recommended, it doesn't get pushed out, it won't be on your landing page or your For You page or whatever they call it on YouTube. And so I'm not sure why that was. There was nothing graphic, there was nothing gory. I don't use curse words. So I didn't think there was anything unfriendly either. It's the topic, nay, and that's sad. Anonymous Canadian girl, good morning. Says, wonder what they will have to say about one side down and one side up for her hair today. Oh, yeah, I'm sure it's supposed to prove her guilt. Oh, 100%. maybe the pew pew expert and showing pew pew. People are like, what does pew pew mean? It means pew pew, pew pew, like shooting. Because there's so many things that YouTube doesn't like you to say because the program thinks
Good morning, everybody. We're back on the record in the state of
it.
Florida versus Ashley Benefield, 2020 CF 3014. It's Friday, July 26th. We're getting ready to start for the morning. When we left yesterday, my understanding that you were off to talk to Ms. Brown.
I spoke to her.
Right. Are there any matters that need to be brought up before we bring the jury in?
Not to my knowledge.
Defense?
We're ready. He said,
ready?
We're ready.
All right. I'm not sure if they're up yet. All right. We're a few minutes early, but we'll go ahead and get started. Go ahead and bring them in.
I mean, when have you known a judge to start early? Good morning, Barbara. Just learning how to use YouTube from Massachusetts. Been watching since Karen Reed. Welcome. Look at this. Look at this on the chat of Law and Crime. The woman's facial expressions scream, I am guilty as sin. Somebody else says, I agree, dislike her lawyer. How do you shoot someone in the back 3 times and say it was self-defense? Right here. How do you tell me that you haven't been watching the trial without telling me that you haven't been watching the trial? I gotta turn this off until they start talking again. This is what goes on over there in Law and Crime, just so you know. Some people were talking about her gray hair. Somebody says, wondering how many times her lawyer will testify today. I mean, I don't know. Some people have no grace, no sympathy, no empathy, and no understanding of what goes on in a coercive control relationship, and it's disturbing. Good morning, Barbara. I'm happy that you're learning how to use YouTube.
Welcome back. You know the usual questions. Did anybody discuss the case amongst yourselves, begin deliberations? Did anybody talk with anybody outside of this jury about the case or do any research on the people, places, things, or legal topics we've heard anything about?
No, sir.
When you left yesterday, the state had rested its case. Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Judge White. We call Faith Brown.
Faith Brown is the family court attorney for Ashley Benefield. I always want to say Ashley Banfield. It's not Ashley Banfield, Ashley Benefield, and they're really rustling their papers in my ear right now. I don't know if you guys can hear it as loudly as I can because I have earbuds on. Does anybody know who this woman is who's been in the courtroom every single day? She's got the purple sweater on today.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Just please make yourself comfortable in that chair. Pull yourself up to about 12 to 15 inches from the microphone. It does adjust up, down, left, right, however you need it. If you just speak in a loud, clear voice, it'll pick everything up.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Will you tell us your name, spell your last name for the court reporter?
Faith Brown, Brown.
Ms. Brown, are you employed?
Yes,
How?
I am an attorney.
And how long have you been practicing?
Not quite 20 years.
Do you have a specialty?
I practice exclusively family law.
And in your practice of family law, is email communications traditionally used on behalf of you and your firm?
On a day, yes.
Okay. Do email communications, are they employed in correspondence with the various courts that you have matters pending in?
Yes.
Is the exchange directly with the judge or representative?
The representative,
And their title is what?
judicial assistant, or JA.
Mm-hmm. And these emails, Ms. Brown, are they ordinarily sent and received in the normal course of business for your firm?
Yes.
And are they kept under your care and custody?
Yes.
Are the emails preserved at or about the time that they are either received or sent?
Yes.
I'm going to pass to you, Ms. Brown. May I, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
I'm going to pass to you what I've marked as Defendant's Exhibit 6 and ask you if you would take a moment and review that.
All those questions were laying the foundation for getting these emails in as a business record in the normal, kept in the normal course of business. And so she can authenticate them. And he's trying to impeach Stephanie Murphy, who was the attorney for Doug Benefield, who testified, I believe it was day 1 or 2.
Just give me a moment. I'm going to show it to the prosecutor. While they're reviewing that, in September of 2020, were you representing Ashley Benefield
I was.
in family court?
Yes, I was.
And what case do the contents of Defendant's Exhibit 6 represent?
This was in reference to the petition for injunction for protection against domestic violence that I filed on behalf of Ashley Benefield and her daughter, Emerson Canny.
All right. Are those emails an accurate, true and accurate reproduction of the emails that you sent and received on that day or those days?
Yes, they are.
Your Honor, I'd move at this time to introduce that as Defendant's Exhibit number 6 into evidence.
Any objection?
No.
Received.
Thank you. That is a string of emails that covers a range of dates.
Yes, it is.
Would you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Ms. Brown, what date the first email starts on?
Sure. The first date was September 17th of 2020.
And when is the last email?
The last email is when I forwarded the email to my client, Ashley Benefield, on September 23rd, 2020 at 9:30 a.m. But are you referencing the last email between the three of us in the email?
My next question indeed is, would you be kind enough to tell ladies and gentlemen of the jury who were the participants in this string of emails?
The participants in the stream of emails was Vicki Mechanic, who was the judicial assistant to Judge Diana Moreland, who was the judge presiding over this matter, Stephanie Murphy, who was representing Douglas Benefield, and myself.
And it's normal and customary, is it not, to the extent Ms. Murphy would be representing the adverse party, that you would share all correspondence with her between you and the judicial assistant?
Yes, it was a requirement.
Okay. Do you recall, having reviewed the email, was there a particular issue in play?
Yes.
What was it?
We were trying to, initially, we were trying to stipulate to the release of Dr. Brad Broder's report.
And were you attempting to secure a date to do that?
Yes, we were. Well, eventually.
Okay, so I have some very specific questions for you. First, would you tell us whether or not, based on that correspondence, Dr. Broder's report was set for release on September 30th, 2020?
It was not.
Bingo.
In fact, based on those emails between you, Stephanie Murphy, and Judge Moreland's JA, was there even a date that existed at that time for the release of Dr. Broder's report?
There was not.
Bingo. And I'm going to tell you why. And we stop and we talk about it here. We let people come in. Stephanie Murphy got up on that stand and she swore to tell the truth. And she said that absolutely 100% Ashley murdered Doug because she was afraid of Dr. Broder's report, which was absolutely positively scheduled to be released on September 30th, which was 3 days after the shooting. Faith Brown, Ashley's lawyer, has been brought in to tell you that no, that is not true. That is the theory of the state's case. That is why they are saying that she killed him. They are saying that is the motive because that report was going to be released September 30th. Faith Brown, the attorney, is telling us that is not true. In fact, we did not even have a date for that report to be released.
If somebody testified that the release of Dr. Broder's report was set for September 30th, would that be accurate?
Oh, sustained.
Would you take a moment, if you don't mind, and read the emails?
Sure. Did you want me to read them out loud or to myself?
Yes, read them out loud and start with the string in chronological order. It covers a 6-day period. 17th to the 23rd.
The 17th to the 23rd, yes. The first email was on September 17th of 2020. It was a Thursday from Attorney Stephanie Murphy to Family Division 4, which was the judicial assistant's email address. I was CC'd on it, as well as my paralegal's email address, Sarah Hawk at myflfamilies.com, and Dr. Brad Broder. It states, "Good afternoon, Vicki. I hope you are doing well and have had a good week. Please see the attached joint motion for release of psychological evaluation and report and correspondence regarding same with regard to the above referenced case. Thank you, Stephanie."
Great point, Corn Pope. They were going to stipulate. That means agree. That means that both sides were going to agree to have Dr. Broder's report released. So she wouldn't have been scared. She knew what was in it.
Shortly thereafter, same day, the judicial assistant responded, "Received, thank you. Can one of you kindly prepare a proposed order in case the judge wishes to grant your motion?"
Pointing out in the courtroom, that is cousin Tommy, who the defense attorney called a creep after his testimony, or in the middle of his testimony. Cousin Tommy is a cousin of Tom Benefield. That's Eva Benefield, Doug's daughter, who was brought who had to take the stand again yesterday to explain why she spoke to a reporter in the hallway after being told not to because she's still under subpoena. I'm not sure who this woman here is. To the left of Eva, the blonde, very pretty woman with the short hair. If anybody knows, I'll let you see her for a second. Let me know if you know who that is.
About 30 minutes later, Ms. Murphy responded, "Thank you, Vicki. I will work on that right now and send it to Ms. Brown for her approval." The next morning, Friday the 18th at 10:18 a.m., we received a response from the judicial assistant, marked importance high, that stated, "Good morning, Ms. Murphy and Ms. Brown. Per the judge, she will not sign an ex parte order for release of psychological evaluation and report. The judge will allow an expedited hearing on this motion. I have available Wednesday, September 23rd at 9 a.m. for 30 minutes. However, besides both attorneys being present, the judge has stated that Dr. Broder and Manatee Children's Services must be present at the hearing as well, and must be present at the hearing as well is underlined. Further, Ms. Murphy, the judge stated that absent showing where the court granted permission for the other motions stated in your September 17th letter to her, the only, and only is underlined, matter being heard on September 30th day is the injunction hearing." And then the next sentence is also underlined. "Please advise whether Wednesday, September 23rd will work for all parties. Thank you, Vicki Mechanic, Judicial Assistant to Judge Moreland."
Seems pretty clear to me that the only thing being heard September 30th was the domestic violence issue, order of protection. Somebody said here, Grace Water, why does this lawyer push farther when he has made his point? Because his client is on trial for second-degree murder and could be facing life in prison. So that is his job, to zealously represent his client. And this, you put this message in at 9:05 and it's 9:09, and we just heard that last sentence. So I suggest to you that he should push as far as he can to help his client be found not guilty. That's his job.
A few minutes later, Attorney Murphy responded with an email that said, "Thank you so much for all of this information, Vicki. I admit that I did not go back to check what is scheduled for that hearing, so please accept my apology. In my mind, these cases have always overlapped so much that I just took it for granted that the upcoming hearing is just the DVI. I am available for that hearing. I will contact Dr. Broder, and we are trying to track down the correct attorney who represents Manatee County. Sarah Hawk, it appears, represents Sarasota only." The next email was actually from my assistant at the admin email address, because she handles my calendar, September 18th at 10:58 a.m., where she stated, "Ms. Brown is available at 9 a.m. However, she has mediation starting at 9:30. The next email was about 2 minutes later from the JA, stating, if this goes forward on the 23rd, it shall be via Zoom." Then at 2:09 p.m., Attorney Murphy emailed, "Good afternoon, Vicki. Ms. Brown and I are both available next Wednesday at 9 a.m. on Zoom. Dr. Broder is not available as he is out of town on an anniversary vacation with his wife. I have called into 3 different people with Manatee Children's Legal Services, including the DCF regional headquarters, to find out who needs to be included from the organization in the hearing. We have been directed and redirected to the wrong people several times. Can we go ahead and set the hearing?" The next email was about 15 minutes later from the JA stating, "Good afternoon. No, per my email to you both this morning, the judge stated that Dr. Broder must be present at the hearing. Vicki."
Wow.
So that was Friday, the 18th. The next email was Tuesday, September 22nd at 2:20 from Stephanie Murphy, where she wrote, "Good afternoon, Vicki. Dr. Broder never got back to me regarding whether he could appear at the hearing even by audio only while he is on vacation. So I wanted to let you know that per your prior emails, we cannot have the hearing tomorrow morning. When Dr. Broder did speak with Attorney Faith Brown on Friday, he told her that he would be returning Wednesday night. Is there any chance that Judge Moreland could schedule the hearing for Thursday? We will be in mediation in this case, but we can take a break to do the Zoom hearing.
And what is the JA, Ms. Mechanic's response to that request?
Unfortunately, no. The judge has a full docket on Thursday, and even if she didn't, Manatee Children's Services would need to be present as well.
All right.
That was Tuesday, September 22nd. So then on Wednesday, September 23rd at 1:02 p.m., Ms. Murphy, Attorney Murphy wrote, "Good afternoon, Vicki. I've spoken with Attorney Kimberly Griffin, who represents CPS, and who confirmed that she is the attorney who will need to be present for the hearing per Judge Moreland's instructions. Now that we know who the hearing needs to be coordinated with and Dr. Broder is returning tonight, can you please forward additional hearing dates and times for this matter?" To which the judicial assistant responded about 30 minutes later, 35 minutes, or excuse me, 25 minutes later. Unfortunately, there is no availability before the injunction date of the 30th.
All right. Was there anything unclear about the fact that the only thing being heard on September 30th, 2020 was the injunction?
No,
Bingo.
Was there any chance, under any circumstances, Dr. Broder's report was going to be released on September 30th, 2020?
no.
I don't believe I have anything further, Your Honor.
Cross.
There you go. Clear as day.
I just went through these emails along with you, and you say it's very clear that the release of the report was not going to be heard on the 30th. In reading this, it's hard to get that because the last email.
She's trying to save Murphy from a perjury charge, or perhaps being called out for committing perjury, by saying it seems unclear. Faith Brown, Ashley's defense attorney, said under no circumstances was Dr. Broder's report going to be released on September 30th. And now the prosecutor is going to try and get up and make her say that it's unclear and that it should be totally understandable why Stephanie Murphy got up on the stand and swore to tell the truth and swore to this court that 100% she had no doubt that report was going to be released on the 30th. And that is 100% the reason why Ashley killed Doug.
Says, unfortunately, there's no availability before the injunction date of the 30th. But that still means if the attorney got the doctor and the appropriate people present, that it maybe could be heard on that date, correct?
No.
Okay. So it was your understanding it was not going to happen.
Correct.
All right. What was your understanding of what was going to happen on that date on the 30th?
The injunction for protection against domestic violence hearing was going to be held that afternoon.
Okay. So you were going to call witnesses. You were prepared to call witnesses?
Yes.
Okay. And have a full hearing on Ashley Benefield's motion to get an injunction against Doug Benefield.
Outside
What?
the scope.
I didn't.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
So the hearing on 9:30 was, in your opinion, only to hear the motion to get an injunction that was filed by Ashley Benefield against Doug Benefield. And that was the only thing to be heard on that day.
Correct.
Okay. And wasn't it true that previously you had agreed to drop that injunction?
It's sustained.
No further questions.
Oh, man.
Peter Brett?
That's all, just a request to publish the email.
Absolutely. By passing? Okay.
That's it.
And
There
can
goes
this
the
witness be
state's motive.
released?
Yes.
And can the witness be released?
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, you're releasing your subpoena. You're free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. No.
Oh, so sorry.
Pass it around.
Thank you.
Don't forget, prosecution had all these emails. They had them all. This is just witness one of the defense case, and I think we are going to see a lot of explosive testimony today. So hang on to your seats, folks. We're a little behind. I'm going to fast forward us through. That's what you call an attorney with surgical precision, like Alan Jackson and David Yannetti. This is Neil Taylor. It's a problem for Stephanie Murphy. She's going to say she was mistaken, I'm sure, if anybody files a complaint against her. She has to answer for herself in front of the Bar Association or the Ethics Committee or the Grievance Committee or whatever they call it in Florida. But that's a big problem. Those emails seem to be cut and dry to me. And if need be, Mr. Taylor wanted to call in the judicial assistant to clarify it. I'm not sure what we're waiting for right now. What are we waiting for? An odd delay with no reason, so I'm not sure what's happening here, unless the prosecutor has to pick her jaw up off the floor. Oh, they're passing the emails to the jury. Thanks, Lauren. So the jury's going to look at the emails. Thank you. I'm like, what are we waiting for? She needs to pick her jaw up off the floor. Okay, now we can get to real time. The jury is there. The jury is there. They heard all of that testimony. And they're looking at the emails. I'm just going to delete that so people aren't confused. Nolene, no offense to you. In many courts, they just say, okay, we're going to enter these into evidence, and then they'll give them to the jury to look at when the jury goes into the jury room, like we saw in Massachusetts. But here in Florida, they look at them right away. So they're going to get to read them. They're going to get to go through them. And they're going to see Stephanie Murphy told a lie when she got up on that stand and swore to tell the truth and said that absolutely 100% Dr. Broder's report was going to be released on September 30th. That was the reason that Ashley killed Doug. Mr. Taylor tried to even give her an opportunity to say, are you sure? Are you sure you don't want to change your answer? Are you sure? Here are the emails. Are you sure you don't want to change your answer? And she was very, in my opinion, belligerent and said to him, you're mistaken. You're mistaken. That's not what these emails say, but you just heard Ashley's attorney read them, and they seemed pretty clear to me. So what say you? Do you think that they can be misconstrued? James, thanks for being a new member. On top, thank you for your super sticker for always being on top.
The attorney's approach for me.
All right, the attorneys are approaching. Morgan, thank you for the 10. Says thank you for your fair and impartial coverage. I was on TikTok last night, and it is appalling what they're saying about not only Ashley, but Mr. Taylor. It makes me so upset. Love it here. We love having you here. And ain't no time to hate, said the Grateful Dead. We don't have time for it here either. Sandra, thank you so much for coming in from Singapore and for loving my commentary and for sending in your kind donation. Thank you so much. Becky's Blue Eye Paranormal became a new member. Yay, Becky, we're happy to have you. Charlotte Grove Farmhouse, thanks for the 5. I've been watching trials for years, and I have to say, as a childhood survivor of a domestically violent father, I sincerely appreciate your candor. I'm so sorry that happened to you, Charlotte. You are one of our warriors in the chat. Rose, thanks for becoming a member. Maria's tuning in from Switzerland. Says, this reminds me of the Gabby Petito case. Thank you. Thank you, Maria, for coming in all the way from Switzerland. Becky comes in again with a super chat. That's what this case needed. Thank you, Faith Brown. Thanks, Becky. Bridget, thanks for the 10. On a weekend, can we all go back and cram in some pretrial on this case? The channel is doing that on Karen Reed. It's interesting. So much comes up that I didn't know from watching the trial. I, too, have an entire playlist. I think it's something like, I don't know, 30, 40 videos on the Karen Reed pretrial stuff. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, go back and watch that, too. But yes, I think perhaps we can do that this weekend. I have the papers on the motion, the stand your ground motion. There's some interesting stuff in there, including the fact that they did not call the lead detective in this case, Justin Warren, which is very interesting to me. So any of you who know, who watched all the pretrial stuff, why are they not calling Detective Justin Warren? He was the lead detective. Is he the one who said that all homicides are murder? And he called this case a murder in his probable cause affidavit or whatever paperwork they call it in Florida that he needed to get a magistrate to sign off on to get a search warrant of Doug's house. He called it a murder, and he had his search warrant within an hour. So perhaps there's a little confirmation bias there, and that's why they didn't call him, the state, in their case in chief. Shai says, take notes, Stephanie. Professional attorney testifying versus a real housewife testimonial. Just saying. Thanks, Shai, for the super chat. Thanks, Petra, for becoming a new member. Glamasuz, thank you so much for the 10, and good morning to you. It's the Florida Bar Association. They are very responsive. Off to Saratoga. Have a great time in Saratoga. Run for the roses. Want to see the ponies? Catherine Green, thanks for your super sticker. Sonia Pedro, good morning. Thank you so much for your contribution, for your donation. The coverage you do is so easy to follow. As a child survivor since 9 till 13 years old, I always thought that was wrong. This is a safe space as I provide to my students. Love from Portugal. Oh, Sonia, you must be an amazing teacher. Thank you for coming in, and I'm so sorry for what happened to you when you were a child. That is something that no child should have to live through, go through, survive. Just another one of the many, many warriors that are in this case, in this chat, watching this coverage with us together. So if you're new here, feel free to chat. I do set it to subscribers only. It's free to subscribe. Just hit the subscribe button below, because I find that keeps a lot of the vitriol out, because it's a lot of people who want to say hateful things won't even click the subscribe button. So at least it's a gateway to having kind people in this chat. Another Melanie. I think we've decided at least 5 Melanies in the chat. Can the judge dismiss the case now? I think he's going to let it go to the jury. And the jury will be the finders of fact. And the defense attorney will tie this up in his closing. And I wonder if Stephanie Murphy is watching this on TV right now. Black Widow, you can be a carrot cupcake. You can be whatever flavor cupcake you want to be. LC is so happy to be a cupcake. Tara Allen says, the lie that was exposed about the report release date put a nail in the state's case against Ashley. Yep. Oh, Donnie, you love my Boston accent? Haven't been able to use it in a while because we haven't been in Norfolk in a while, but we'll be back there on the 9th of August. Just Jeannie says if she could subscribe 10 more times, she would. It's a good time while we're waiting for the jury to look at the emails that completely shot down Stephanie Murphy's testimony. Let's hit the like button, shall we? This is a great question, okie dokie. Your attorneys generally present things in order or more by how impactful they are for their case, from the least to the greatest, for instance. It depends on the attorney. It depends on the case. If you watched the Karen Reed trial with me, you would have noticed that the prosecution's case was, in my opinion...
All right, the jury has completed their review of Defendant's Exhibit 6. Mr. Taylor, your next witness.
Yes, sir. The defense calls Ashley Benefield.
Ashley's taking the stand. Ashley is taking the stand. Okie dokie, I'm going to star this and come back to it later. Here comes Ashley. Wow. Blast it out there, folks, for anybody who wants to come watch this with us, because this is huge. We thought she needed to tell her story, and this is her turn. Yeah, this is. Just want to make sure we're on real time here. Everybody say a prayer for Ashley.
As you've heard me tell other witnesses, just make yourself comfortable in that chair. Get about 12 to 15 inches from the microphone. It does adjust up, down, left to right. And if you speak in a loud, clear voice, the electronics will pick up everything.
Okay.
Mr. Taylor.
Good morning. Will you tell us your full name and spell your last name, please?
Ashley Christina Benefield, Benefield.
How are you feeling this morning, Ashley?
Nervous.
All right, try best you can to relax and we'll get through this.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit, Ashley, about where you were born and raised.
I was born in Corpus Christi, Texas, and I grew up in Annapolis, Maryland.
What type of family values were instilled in you?
Oh,
Relevance?
I believe in the importance of kindness and compassion, empathy, honesty, hard work, accountability.
What type of work did your father do?
My
Really?
My dad was a Naval Academy graduate who was a Navy pilot, and then started flying privately for the airlines, which is what he still does.
And how about your mom?
When I was born, my parents decided that my mom would stay home to take care of me full time since my dad traveled so much.
I want to ask you a few questions about your childhood. Did you have any siblings?
I grew up an only child.
Were your parents active in your development as a child?
Yes, they were very active in my schooling and supportive of my pursuit of the arts.
hold on one second. I'm sorry. We need some, get some headsets. Headsets.
Sorry.
How many? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I misunderstood. All right, Ms. Benefield, yeah, if you could scoot a little bit closer and speak up so the jury can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Do the best.
I
you can.
apologize. Go ahead, sir.
Sure, do the best you can, Ashley.
Okay.
Do you have any hobbies?
I love art. I like drawing, painting, sculpting, ballet. I enjoy gardening, baking, cooking. Most importantly, I'm a mom.
What type of high school did you attend?
I'm going to sustain at this point.
Um,
I'm trying to establish her ballet, Your Honor.
All right. If it's related to something specific, then
Yes,
yes.
sir. Thank you. Tell us about your high school, Ashley.
I went to a small private Christian school.
And did you study anything in particular in high school?
I was focused on pursuing ballet.
And was ballet a large part of your curriculum when you were in high school?
Yes, I danced full time. I actually finished my last few credits my senior year with an accredited homeschool program for athletes, so I could dance during the day.
Do you still dance professionally?
No.
Why not?
I retired after I tore my hamstring.
I want to ask you about Doug. When did the two of you meet?
We met August 25th of 2016.
And tell us what your impression of him was when you met.
He was very confident in who he was. passionate about what he was doing for work. He was fascinating to talk to.
What was it, if you recall in particular, that attracted you to him, Ashley?
He was funny, very smart, charming. We just instantly clicked.
Was Doug in the military?
Yes, just like my dad, he was in naval aviation.
Did he turn out to be who you thought he was?
No, not at all.
I want to direct your attention, Ashley, now, if I can, to the day of the homicide, September 27, 2020.
Okay.
Specifically late in the afternoon. Would you tell us why Doug was at your home?
He came over to help load some of the larger items that my mom and I had kind of pre-staged in the garage into the U-Haul truck.
And were there any discussions between the two of you about the order that these things should be placed in the back of the truck?
Yes, we had discussed that my things would be going in last, right at the front, so they would be easy to get out first. At one point, he had me help him load one of the larger pieces into the back of the U-Haul truck. And when I was up in the truck with him, I realized that everything had been all like mixed together and it was no longer separated. And I pointed that out to him, and he got really offended and upset. He said, "It shouldn't be your stuff, your house, my house."
Was there a particular demand he made at that time?
He said I needed to start acting like a wife.
Tell us at that point how you chose to deal with him.
I tried to change the subject. I could see how upset he was getting. So I wanted to kind of alleviate that.
And how was Doug reacting to your efforts to do that?
He was getting more upset and aggressive and threatening.
Do you attempt to avoid confrontation with him?
Yes.
What do you do?
I was trying to get him to leave. I kept suggesting that maybe we should be done. Saying I was tired. We should just wrap it up for the day.
And what was Doug's reaction to that effort?
He heard me, but he completely disregarded what I was saying.
Ashley, would you tell us if there came a time shortly thereafter where there was physical contact between the two of you?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
We were in the living room, and as he came up to me, instead of walking past me, he walked like right into me, like a body check. He like thumped me.
His shoulder to your shoulder?
Yes.
And describe for us, if you can, the force of the bump.
It caught me off guard. I almost fell. I like stumbled.
How was he acting at that point?
He was clearly hostile. He was mumbling under his breath and was glaring at me.
What was your concern?
I could see that it was escalating, and I didn't want him to blow up at me.
Was there a second instance of physical contact?
Yes.
Tell us about that, please.
We were in the garage, and it was very much like the living room. I had just suggested strongly that I wanted to be done for the day. And he, as he came up to me, he walked right into me. Again, body checked me.
Finally, was there a third instance of contact?
Yes.
What happened?
We were in the hallway, and we were coming opposite directions towards each other, and he had a box. And as he walked up to me. He looked me in the eye and he drove the corner of the box up into me.
Where?
My side.
Indicating on your right side,
Yes, sir.
in the hip area?
Yes, sir.
What was the result of that?
Scratching. It burned.
Yes, sir.
This is huge. She's taking the stand. Assess her credibility with me.
Ashley, I'm going to hand you what's been marked as defense exhibit numbers 8, 9, and 10. Approach.
Yeah, just do me a favor, whenever you're holding them up, they were facing the jury until they're admitted.
Sorry.
Yes, sir, thank you very much. 8, 9, and 10?
Yes, sir. Will you tell us what exhibit 8 represents, Ashley?
It's a scratch right here.
And was that scratch caused by the cardboard box that you just related?
Yes, sir.
When was that photograph taken?
The night of September 27th, 2020 at the sheriff's office.
Okay, and how about exhibit number 9?
Also scratches on my side.
From the same incident?
Yes, sir.
Also taken that evening at the sheriff's office?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and exhibit 10?
The same scratches as in 9. They're just, it's a close-up.
Do these photographs, Ashley, truly and accurately reflect the scratches and bruises you received on late that afternoon on September 27, 2020?
Yes.
Do they accurately reflect how the scratches looked when they were fresh?
Yes.
Thank you. I move respectfully, Your Honor, defense exhibits 8, 9, and 10 into evidence.
Any objection?
No.
They'll be received.
What was your response, Ashley, after being struck by the cardboard box?
I apologized.
Why would you have apologized?
Because I could see how upset he was, and I didn't want him to get more mad at me.
Remember Gabby Petito?
Where does Doug go after that incident?
He continued to the garage with the box.
And what happens at that point?
We started getting into a back and forth about being done for the day and what still needed to be packed and that I wanted to be done. And we ended up in our daughter's bedroom and he started screaming at me. He said, "Shut the fuck up." He started calling me names. And he said, "I can see what you're doing. You're trying to get me to leave." He said, "I don't have to leave. I can stay and spend the night if I want to because I'm your husband."
At that point, Ashley, how did you feel with respect to your own personal safety?
I was scared.
Did you take any steps to try to avoid anything further?
Yes, I ran to try to leave the house
And where did you run to?
to the front door.
Did you make it?
No,
Tell us what happened.
he stopped me. He grabbed me by the hand and he yanked me back. I'm not really sure how he did it, but he spun around so he was in front of me, between me and the door.
So,
He said,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
He said, where the fuck do you think you're going?
What was your response? Do you specifically recall? Tell us.
I just blurted it out. I said, I'm done and you need to leave now.
What was Doug's reaction to that command to leave now?
He said, you can't fucking leave me.
Then what happens?
He hit me on the side of the head.
Ashley, I'm going to ask you what's been marked as defendant's exhibit number 7. Tell us what that represents.
It's a picture of my face.
Is it an accurate picture of what your face looked like on that night?
Yes, sir.
Who took that photograph?
I don't remember her name. She was at the sheriff's office.
At the sheriff's office? Okay. Now, what is it about that photograph that shows or reflects the slap or the hit that you got to the side of your head on that day by Doug?
That side of my face is like swollen and puffy and discolored around my eye.
And is your eyelid drooping
Yes,
on the side where you were hit?
yes.
Your Honor, I move defense exhibit number 7 into evidence.
Received.
What was different at that moment, Ashley, than at any time in your prior relationship with Doug?
He had never actually hit me before.
What did you do?
I ran
Where?
to my room
Why?
because I was scared.
Ashley, did you have anything in your room that could protect you?
I had my gun.
Did you grab the gun?
Yes.
As you're grabbing the gun, what, if anything, did you hear?
I heard the door hitting the doorstop.
As if it is flung open?
Yes.
And what do you see, Ashley, when you look up?
Doug was standing in the doorway. His face was red. Like the veins were bulging in his neck. The way he was looking at me, it didn't even look like Doug. His eyes were black.
Does he yell anything at you?
He said, "You're fucking done."
And what does he do at that point?
I held the gun like in front of me and I said, "Stop." And he like turned and he got into this like, it was like a fighting stance. He like, I got low and he started like moving his arms and his hands around. He was making these like jerking motions.
What were you expecting when you were holding the gun out in front of you and you told him to stop?
I thought when he saw it, he would leave.
Did he?
No.
At that point, Ashley, what are you thinking?
I thought he was gonna kill me.
Tell us what happens next.
He started coming towards me, and then he lunged at me, and I started pulling the trigger. And he just kept coming. And I remember trying to move to get away from him, but he kept coming at me.
Ashley, would you tell us why, if you're holding a loaded firearm, you were attempting to move away?
I was taken away from him. I was terrified.
All right, so you're firing. He keeps advancing. What happens next?
It was like his feet slipped out from under him and his legs went up in the air.
When Doug hits the floor, what's your immediate reaction?
I ran to get help.
Can you tell us how many shots you fired?
I have no idea. I was in a panic.
Do you remember anything about the shooting beyond what you've told us here?
It was a blur.
Where did you run for help, Ashley?
To my neighbor's house.
What's your neighbor's name?
John Sant.
Ashley, I have to ask you a couple of very difficult questions. You okay?
Yeah, sorry.
Ashley, tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury why you shot Doug.
I was scared to death. I thought he was gonna kill me. There was nowhere to go. I was trapped in my own house. He wouldn't let me leave.
As you sit here today, Ashley, how do you feel about what happened?
Horrible. He's the father of my child. So I'm gonna have to explain it all to her.
Judge, I wonder, could we have a minute, maybe a brief recess, to have her compose herself?
All right. Members of the jury, if you could step out for a couple of minutes, we'll bring you right back. Just leave your notes where they are. You put them face down. Please don't begin your deliberations. You can use your phones, but don't talk with anybody outside the jury about the case. Don't do any research on the people, places, things, or legal topics we're going to talk anything about. Thank you. All right, you all can have a seat. Ms. Benefield, you can have a seat. You need to take a moment to compose yourself?
Yeah, would it be all right if she stepped out?
No, sir.
May I approach her? With no conversation?
Yeah, he just wants to give her a tissue.
Yeah,
Not say a word.
yes.
I don't know who's saying there's no tears. There are tears. What are you talking about? People who are in this chat are actual victims, actual survivors. Some of them say there are no tears.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Ma'am, there's Kleenexes here next to you. Those.
Okay, thank you.
Look at these people, not one tear, no tears. I don't understand what your point is.
I'm sorry.
All right, Judge, I think you can bring it back in.
Okay, great.
Yes.
All right, let's go and bring the jury back in. Yes, sir. We might have stepped into the facility, so we'll wait a minute.
The Canton Leaf Blower Society has decided to convene outside my window. I'm going to mute myself for a second so you don't have to suffer the same Noise. That's right, Natalia. His own daughter said he was trained on removing a weapon from someone. Terry says, if anyone says she's faking, they're absolutely not able to see truth or reality, guilty until proven innocent for TV victims and survivors. I thought you were saying in DV sometimes there are no tears, Natalie. Are you saying that she's lying because there are no tears? I misconstrued your comment. I thought that you were saying in DV a lot of victims don't have tears. We're on real time.
All right, bring him in.
Popeye's girl, I suggest that you watch when you get a chance because she's shaking uncontrollably.
Bless you. Bless you.
Thank you, Christina B. Some will see this as a performance and others will see this as truth. I hope the jury sees justice. She's been apologizing the entire time she's on the stand. And look at Eva Benefield and whoever that woman is next to her, just crossing her arms and laughing at her. It's really inappropriate behavior. Whoever these three people are, really inappropriate behavior. And I'm glad that the camera is on them right now. Thank you, Lisa, for the super chat. Veins bulging, red face.
It'll be a couple of more minutes till the jurors are finished with their break. Let's 9:56. Let's say at 10:05 we'll reconvene. Ms. Benefield, I'm going to allow you to leave the stand. However, you are in the middle of your testimony. You may not communicate with anyone at all during your testimony. Do you understand? So you can step down and use the facilities. That's just fine. But
Don't do that, Ashley. Don't do that. Just go sit at your table.
While you're testifying.
All those people in the gallery laughing at you.
So we'll be in recess until about 10:05 or so.
Lisa says, veins bulging, red face. He just kept coming. Very believable. Everyone take care. This is so vivid, triggering. Love and peace to you, Ashley and Eva. Thank you so much, Lisa, for coming in. If you need to take a break, certainly, everyone take a break. Thank you, Becky, for gifting a membership, and whoever received that, congratulations to you. It's random by YouTube. Mezzo Pezzo became a new member. Welcome. If you're just joining, we're on a short break. Ashley Benefield is on the stand. That is Ashley. She's taking a break right now. Melanie Eves, I think you're the 6th Melanie to come in today. I think it's just a great time for something positive to happen for Ashley. I just think she's so pretty. Go, Mr. Taylor. We love you, Ashley. Thanks, Melanie, for the super chat. Coffee Cake, now's the time to seize the day. Now is the time to have your say. Prayers for all concerned. Yes, love your commentary. Thank you, Coffee Cake. On top, thanks for being on top of the super stickers this morning. Pebbles Love became a new member. Congrats. Welcome. JP, thanks for the 5. I listened to many podcasts about this ahead of time and went in thinking guilty, but my mind has been changed. I'm so glad trials are streamed. For those of you who think she has no tears and therefore it can't be possibly true, do you think she's faking this emotion as well while she's sitting back at her table? This is why so many victims of DV don't report it, because they don't think anybody's going to believe them. Lisa, thank you so much for the 5. Details are authentic. Yes, Byrne accurately describes the box slam. I believe her. Thank you, Lisa. Jessica Lynn became a member. Welcome. Caveman, thank you for coming in with a deuce. This is believable. I feel bad for this woman. Tail like confetti fairy, good morning. Says losing control of the situation is an abuser's biggest fear and they snap. My husband's eyes look black when he choked me. It's the scariest thing I've ever seen. 100%. I believe her. Lori Life 360 for the win. Thanks for gifting 5 memberships. You're so very kind and generous to the channel. DK has been a member for 9 months, one of the OGs. Ashley is so many of us. I'm crying hysterically with her. It's triggering for me, but I'm standing strong with her. God bless her courage. Colleen Miller, thank you for the 5. That's more of a panic attack, reliving it. That's why no tears. Thanks, Colleen, for explaining that to some people who are in the chat not seeming to understand. Gettin says, his eyes were black. My experience as well. Chilling. Rogue Nomad is hysterically crying. This hurts so much. Megan says, standing your ground and then being tortured by the government like this is insane. Kay Lola says, the people asking for tears are being abusive themselves. Stop it. Sarah in Schwackenhuara says, people commenting about no tears, cut it out. You're in the wrong chat. This is triggering enough for survivors without the commentary of people who are focused on the wrong things. Exactly. And if that wants to be, you want to listen to that commentary, then I can suggest another channel that you can go to. Maybe some of you in the chat can suggest another chat for them to go to. Pandora says, not crying doesn't mean it didn't happen. Emotional trauma doesn't show. Just Joe says, I get the I don't know this person look. It is so very true. So many of you want to hug her. Send out some group vibrations and prayers. JP Eagles says, I am a man. I have actually experienced DV myself. I can absolutely feel the horror when he came into that room the way he did. I feel it. Court S says, their face just changes. I know what she's describing. The Acolyte says, I just want to say that disassociation is a major effect of abuse and also causes the victim difficulty crying, speaking from experience. And to all of you who say, no tears, I don't believe her, perhaps you should thank God that you've never had to live in a situation like this. or had to try and survive a situation like this, or had to try and leave a situation like this. Kim, thanks for coming in from Canada. I do believe her. Melanie, I apologize for no tears. I meant to some people in the jury might not. I've been there. I'm sorry, Kim. So you know. Thanks, Kim, for coming in. Athena says, Eva is in her 20s, old enough to know better. Eva and friends are gross individuals who are laughing and smiling at Ashley. Ashley's distressed state. My ex had black eyes too. Thank you, Athena, for coming in for the super chat and for laying some knowledge on some people who don't understand the black eyes. Thanks, Shaylee. Trauma therapy also helps people heal and takes away the strong emotional and physical reactions. I hope that she's had some therapy. Teeny says, her saying sorry all the time and the looks in her eyes. I feel so much for her. I want to give her a warm mama hug and let her know she's brave. Glitter Beauty says she had loads of tears. Zoom in, people. Again, even if she didn't, but she did, it proves nothing. You don't know how your body would react to any of this if you haven't been in a situation like this. I think the prosecution was completely blindsided by Neil Taylor calling Ashley Benefield as the second witness of the day. If you were not here this morning when we convened, the first witness was Faith Brown, Ashley's attorney, who blew out of the water Stephanie Murphy's testimony about Dr. Broder's report being released on September 30th, which is the state's entire theory of their case. That's their motive for Ashley killing Doug, was that Dr. Broder's report was going to be released on September 30th, which was 3 days after the shooting. And you may remember Stephanie Murphy's testimony. She came in a pink dress and she swore to tell the truth. And on the stand, she said, absolutely 100%. That report was going to be released on the 30th. 100%. That's the reason
Check the jury is all back.
Ashley killed Doug.
They're ready to go?
Ready?
Come on back. Ready?
Yep.
State.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Inside your bones, yes, you should go to work in this area because this area needs more empathic people like you. She says, I've been in many of these positions and studied the behavior. I can pick it up so easily, and maybe I should work in this area because it seems like the government lacked any understanding. How about that Detective Gillum?
Okay, let's go ahead and bring him in.
He just thought she was a pain in the neck, calling him all the time. Thank you, Disabled Rebel. Says, DV has a life sentence of adrenaline, PTSD, and panic. Chloe Albert's Revenge, thanks for the 5. Here's a thought. If she's acting because no tears, explain all the actors who have to use fake tears. It means nothing. Thank you. Dublin Girl, thanks for coming in from Ireland, points out the grief muscle in the middle of your forehead is impossible to fake. It's real pain for her. That's a great point. Blessed Mom from Texas, thank you for coming in with a 5. If Ashley's on anxiety meds, antidepressants can also stop tears too. I know all about it. Prayers for her. Thank you. Wolfie Muse says emotional abuse and physical abuse will ruin you.
All right, you all can have a seat. Welcome back, everybody. Did anybody begin deliberations or talk about the case amongst yourselves? Did anybody communicate with anybody outside the jury about the case? Or did anybody do any research on the people, places, things, or legal topics we've heard anything about?
No, sir.
Everybody says no. Mr. Taylor, you can resume your direct examination.
Thank you, Judge White. Ashley, would you tell us where the pistol was in your bedroom?
It was in a storage bin. It was on top of my laundry basket.
Will you describe the storage bin?
It was like a square bin with hard sides and cloth covering the sides.
Do you remember how old Emerson, your child, was at the time of this incident?
About 2.
Was Emerson able to access that storage bin?
No,
Whose firearm was
mine.
it? Did you have a license?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to show you, Ashley, what's previously been marked as Defendant's Exhibit Number 2. And Your Honor, I'd like to, if I could, put that up on the screen. Could we?
Are you from the Elmo?
For the blinds.
Oh, sure. And one more set of lights.
Thank you, Deputy.
I bet, Jules.
Ashley, take a look at the picture on your concealed firearm license. And in particular, are we able to zoom in on the portrait, the picture? Yeah. Ashley, do your eyelids look the same in that picture?
Yes, sir.
Do they look different in the picture that we admitted after you were slapped?
Yes, sir.
Let's put the, let me see now. Let's put Defendant's Exhibit Number 7 up on the screen. Ashley, what side of your face did he hit you on?
The left side.
The
The
left side.
left side.
And as we're looking at this picture, it would be to the right.
Correct.
Is your eyelid on the right side the same as your eyelid on the left side?
No, sir.
And how about your eyebrow? The space between your eyebrow and your eyelid on the right side, is that the same as the space between your eyebrow and your eyelid on the other side?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, Judge. I think we can lift the blinds. Was the firearm registered to you, Ashley?
Yes.
All right, I'd like to now direct your attention back to your initial introduction to Doug. How long was it before Doug expressed his devotion to you?
It was about 4 days after we met that he told me he loved me.
Did any significant event follow after he expressed his love for you?
He flew me to South Carolina, where he was living at the time, and asked me to marry him, and I said yes.
You remember the date?
September 7th, 2016.
How old was he at the time on September 7th, 2016?
54,
And how old were you?
24.
When you finally moved in together, what was it like?
It was challenging. Doug hadn't told his daughter Eva that we had gotten married. And so when she found out, she was really upset. Just understandable. Her mom had suddenly passed 8 or 9 months before, and I was a complete stranger to her. Now I'm moving into her house.
At that point in your relationship, Ashley, describe for us the man you thought you'd married.
He was very loving and attentive. He was always with me. We did everything together. We laughed a lot. And he made me feel very special and loved. He always was looking for ways to be with me and to do things for me.
Always looking for ways to be with her.
Was there a short time after that you were separated?
Yes, sir.
And what was the reason?
Before I had met him, I had planned a trip. And so I went on my trip. It was a cruise with my mom and one of my girlfriends.
Were you able to communicate with Doug while you were on the cruise?
Yes, sir.
How?
We mostly messaged each other.
I'm going to pass to you what's been marked as defendant's exhibit number 3, I believe, for identification.
Yes. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, the ones that need to be, sorry.
Yes, sir.
I'll take a minute and go through those, and I'm going to ask you about them.
Okay.
Keep in mind that Eva is the same age now that Ashley was when Doug met Ashley. So if it seems to you that Eva's behaving in an immature fashion, that's the same age that Ashley was. So, Lori asks, why didn't she just call
Do you want me to
911
read
before
all of
she
them,
shot him?
or-
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
okay.
through all of them.
Anybody wants to
Then we'll
respond in the
ask you some
chat
questions
from
about it.
personal experience.
Okay.
Not really sure where her phone was. I'm not really sure that she had the time to do that. And while she was on the phone with 911, rewind and listen to her testimony about the incident and what happened and how he was chasing her, slamming doors, blocking her exit. And physically threatening her. Calling 911 in front of a predator. He broke into the door. There was no time. She's trapped in the room. How is she going to make a call? Yeah, thank you. You guys are answering them in the chat, so I didn't have to. I figured you would come in with the answers on that one. She would have been dead as soon as she dialed the first 2 numbers.
Are those text messages actually a true and accurate copy of the messages you received from Doug Benefield while you were on the cruise?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I would move defense exhibit number 3 into evidence.
Objection? Yes.
Oh, all right. I want to hear the messages from the cruise. 911 doesn't always help. I don't think she had time. This is a split-second decision. He had never been physical with her before. He had punched the family dog out to the point of unconsciousness. He had thrown the 13-year-old cat against the wall. He had thrown a loaded gun at her. He had punched holes in the drywall a couple times in the house, and he had shot a gun into the ceiling to scare her. This was the first time that he had ever laid hands on her. And yeah, sorry, that's a non-DV victim question. No offense to the questioner. I mean, I guess you guys are here to educate people as well who don't understand. Dumpling says she was in fight or flight. Flight didn't work, so she had to fight. Rosemary to call 911 would have been extremely risky. She was lucky to get the gun. Christina points out Ashley's in her own world, doesn't even look up when the prosecutor was talking. She only has room for her current emotions, not to see how they are being received. Very telling on her current emotional state. Jonathan Dean says, and who are they going to send? The same cops that were supposed to be protecting her before? Carly says they hadn't been any help before that day. I wouldn't have wasted my time either. I just don't think that she had time. Proverbs 31:25. In the moment, I didn't call 911 because it would make him more mad. I never called 911 until I needed medical attention. Head injury. I got thrown. No time to call the police. Somebody said in the comments the other day, I would never call the police because they would just let him go. And then he would be 10 times as mad when he got back home. Karen says his words, "You're done," says it all. Kayla says the system didn't help previously either. Janergy, he was probably mad and controlling his anger. Some golf girl says he'd have taken the phone or unalived her. Inexplicable Susan, she may not have had a phone in her room. Fight or flight, says Gina. Mistrial says, not to mention, no one had believed her or helped her before, despite her efforts to get help. Why would she think this would be any different? Susan said he knew he was losing control. She was leaving.
Move to introduce defense exhibit number 3.
Any additional objections?
Oh, I'm sorry, not other than what we discussed.
Okay. Admitted, subject to what we discussed at the bench.
Ashley, in this exhibit number 3, who's represented in blue and who's represented in green?
I take a look again. I'm blue and Doug is green.
You're blue and Doug is green.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I want to ask you what you thought and how you felt after this series of text messages where he said the following to you. And I'll go through them and you can respond.
Okay.
Like always being armed. And understanding them and how to conduct warfare in them for the kingdom. If I dwelt on it, I would go into a rage to remove them from the earth. I desire to exterminate them, and holding back is a challenge. They are rats that should be removed. Last night, just the jerks arguing near you about put me in sheer murderous mood, but I was stuck. I couldn't defend you. But could have been a fight, etc. Only you being with me will over time remove the images in my head. It is same and knowing you were taken advantage of still in my mind makes me explode with anger to take them out. God made you for me. You haven't seen the warrior side and never want to. We went from joy and passion to now I'm in a testosterone rage inside.
Okay.
But kill the bad people. How long had you been married when you received these texts from Doug?
I believe it was about like a month or so. Probably thereabouts.
Do you recall approximately how long you had been married?
Well, we got married in the beginning of September, and this would have been the end of November.
Okay.
So more than that, I'm sorry.
What did you think? Was there anything about those texts that caused you to pause?
You know, at the time, I kind of tried to write it off that he was my new husband and he was just trying to be kind of manly and, you know, be protective and, you know, was trying to show that he really loved me. I think that was kind of what I
Did you
thought
think
at
it
the
was
time.
flattering?
Yeah.
Ashley, how long did this facade that you've described of Doug's last?
Probably about 3 months.
And what signs did you begin to see that he was not who you thought he was?
When I got back from the cruise, he started becoming very like controlling and possessive. He started criticizing everything about me, like the way I would wear my hair or did my makeup or the way I dressed. I found myself trying to change everything about me to make him happy.
If you had to pinpoint a specific incident, Ashley, early on that stands out to you, what would that be?
A friend of his had come to town to visit, and we went out to dinner with him. And when we went to leave, Doug had had a little too much to drink, and so I said that I would drive home. And he instantly got really mad at me. He was offended. He started screaming at me, and it continued all the way home. And when we got inside, I told him that he was drunk and he just needed to go to bed. And that really set him off. And he tried to flip over the dining room table. He threw a chair at me. He kept screaming at me until he stopped, and then he apologized. And he said it would never happen again. He said he's really sorry.
And Ashley, did it happen again?
Yes.
Explain what happened.
We had gone to church one Sunday, and after service, after everyone was leaving, we talked to the pastor in like the lobby area in front. And at one point, Doug stormed off, and by the time I caught up with him, I was in the parking lot, and he started cussing at me, calling me names. And when we got in the truck, he accused me of having a thing for the pastor, and he said I was a slut and a whore. And he screamed at me all the way home.
Ashley, was he aggressive and threatening like that in other instances?
It started happening more and more with me, with our animals. He would hurt our pets.
On approximately how many occasions was he cruel to your pets?
A handful.
How would Doug react following a dark episode?
Well, he was either really up or really down. And after, he would be very sweet and apologetic, and he'd be kind, and things would be good. And it was kind of like a flip of a switch, and something would set him off again.
Did you find anything one day, Ashley, that gave you insight into Doug's marriage to his previous wife, Renee?
Yes, sir.
Tell us what it was.
I had been going through and kind of cleaning and organizing, and I was going through a bunch of old devices like phones and iPads, and I found a texting conversation between Doug and Renee, his previous wife.
Let me pass to you, Ashley, what we've marked as defendant's exhibit number 11. Can you identify that, Ashley?
This is part of the texting conversation. This is a text from Renee Benefield to Doug.
Is that a true and accurate copy of what you came across that day that you just related to us?
Yes, sir.
At this point, I'd like to move that into evidence as defense exhibit number 11.
No objection.
Received.
Oh, did Eva leave the courtroom?
I'm going to read this to you. Let me know
She wasn't
if
there.
it's accurate.
Okay.
I was deeply disappointed that you distorted the truth about who you really were when I married you. I loved you, though finding out you weren't really what you pretended to be. You kicking me so hard on New Year's Eve on our honeymoon because you were having trouble functioning in certain areas. You holding a gun to your head twice in my home that I opened to you with my children that still love you. Having to sell everything down to my wedding ring. Finding out you were on Viagra, which all of you had to do was tell me, you know I wouldn't care. Trying to film us making love on our honeymoon. Finding out that you wore eye pencil on and on. I loved you so much I didn't care. That's why I was shocked to think you would take pictures of me without asking. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna rewind that again. That was a text from Renee, his second wife, who died in their bed. And Ashley found this on an old iPad. And I want to read that again. I mean, listen to that again so we can pick out all of the things that are being pointed out that Ashley's now discovering from his second wife, kicking her so hard on their honeymoon that he distorted the truth that he was wearing eye pencil on and off. Not being able to perform on their wedding night made him so angry. And that's the reason that he kicked her. And I guess I'm assuming when she says you couldn't perform in certain areas, meaning consummate the marriage. So let's listen to the beginning of that text again because it's very telling.
I'm going to read this to you. Let me know.
Eva left
It's
the courtroom.
Okay.
I was deeply disappointed that you distorted the truth about who you really were when I married you. I loved you, though finding out you weren't really what you pretended to be. You kicking me so hard on New Year's Eve on our honeymoon because you were having trouble functioning in certain areas. You holding a gun to your head twice in my home that I opened to you with my children that still love you. Having to sell everything down to my wedding ring. Finding out you were on Viagra, which all of you had to do was tell me, you know I wouldn't care. Trying to film us making love on our honeymoon. Finding out that you wore eye pencil on and on. I loved you so much I didn't care. That's why I was shocked to think you would take pictures of me without asking. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Pictures of her trying to film them having sex, he and the second wife. She said she opened her home to him. So I wonder if he moved in. What is eye pencil? I don't know. Eyeliner? I don't know if anybody else. Makeup? Filming.
Tell us, Ashley, how Doug would act when he would go off.
He would call it a fit of rage. Sometimes it was as simple as him just yelling and screaming at me or cussing at me, calling me names. Other times he would throw things or break things or smash things. He would come at me like he was going to hit me. He told me I was lucky that he punched walls instead of me.
Are there any incidences in particular, Ashley, that stand out to you?
Yes.
Tell us, please.
We were having an argument and he came at me like he was going to hit me. And our dog, Sully, jumped up in between us and he punched him in the face so hard that he knocked him out. I just remember screaming because I thought he had killed him.
Were there other times that Doug hurt the animals?
Yes, he
punched Sully, the family dog, so hard in the face that he was rendered unconscious, the dog.
kicked, punched Sully. He threw our cat multiple times. One time he threw Snuffy down the stairs.
Cat, Snuffy, threw the cat down the stairs. Many times threw the cat, but one time threw the cat down the stairs.
What kind of impact did this behavior have on you?
I was always walking on eggshells, trying to do the right things. Because if I said the wrong thing, he would get mad at me. And so I always tried to do it right. If I wore the wrong thing, he would call me a whore or a slut. I feel like I couldn't do anything right.
Was there an incident, Ashley, in June of 2017 that you vividly recall?
Yes.
Please explain it.
We were having an argument and it started getting really out of hand. He pulled a gun out and he was like waving it around. And then he threw it at me. And it hit the wall behind me, punched a hole in the wall. So I went to run to try to leave. He pulled the gun out and held it to his head. He said that he's gonna blow his fucking brains out, and I was gonna have to watch him. And he pulled the trigger and he shot a hole in the ceiling in the kitchen.
Ashley, at that point, what were you thinking about your marriage?
He wasn't anything like I thought he was. I feel like I had made a really big mistake marrying him. It was like I was just living in this nightmare. I never knew what I was going to get.
Did there come a time in July or August of 2017 when you found yourself with child.
Yes.
So let's be clear here chronologically. You became pregnant after this incident where you related that he shot the gun in the ceiling of the kitchen?
Yes, it would have been like right after that, I guess.
Was it planned?
No, it's the last thing on my mind at that point.
Pregnancy
How
was
would
not
you
planned.
deal with Doug?
I tried to do all the right things and keep him happy. Kind of just go with the flow. I didn't want to rock the boat ever.
Did you have a difficult pregnancy?
Yes, I was really sick.
Did you go home from South Carolina to stay with your mom here in Bradenton at the end of August 2017?
Yes, sir.
Did there come a time when you returned to South Carolina?
Yes.
Would you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Ashley, why you returned to South Carolina?
I had decided that I was going to leave him. And so I went back to get my things. When he brought me down, I didn't even have like a suitcase or anything. So I went back to get my stuff. And I wrote him a note and left him a letter saying why I was leaving.
I'm gonna have an objection.
Can you approach?
Oh, she wrote him a letter and now they want to read it into evidence. We're a little bit behind. But we were wondering if they were going to be able to get into the abuse about the dog and the cat. And these are some of the reasons why Ashley had to take the stand and tell her story. So
I'd like to make a statement for the record.
let's send her strength right now. And he just told her we're going to make a statement for the record. So I guess they're going to send the jury out. Colleen, thanks for the super chat. Threats, mental abuse, etc., is a hair away from physical. Physical abuse is a hair away from death. Never judge others on something you haven't lived. Thanks for pointing that out there to some people who might need to hear it a little louder for those in the back or for those who might feel more comfortable in another chat. Listen, we're not going to be offended if you leave. You can certainly go over there. Go to Court TV, go to Law and Crime. Kim says, I'm feeling very sad for her right now. That man beat a dog. Who does that? Prayers for Ashley. Thank you, Kim. And we can put some prayer hands in the chat for Ashley. Thank you. On Top says, this is no act. She's innocent. Thank you, On Top. Susan Costello gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Susan, for being so kind and generous. DK, an OG member of this channel. Thanks for the 20. This trial is giving me nightmares about my ex-husband and what I went through 30 years ago. Took me decades to move on, but the damage is forever. It was all emotional at first, and then one day he snapped and he hit and attacked me. Thank you, Dee.
All right, Ashley. Can you identify what we marked for identification of defendants exhibit
Judge,
number?
I'm gonna object.
Sustained.
Well, she can't even identify it.
No, sir. I made my ruling.
That's not Ashley's mom.
You
I
told
don't know
us
who that
you
is.
left him a letter?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. Let me pass this to you. You can.
Judge, I'm gonna object.
Sustained.
Do you remember independently everything that you said in the letter?
Not everything, no.
Would it help refresh your recollection if you were able to see the letter?
Yes.
Judge, objection.
Sustained.
Why are they not letting the letter in? She wrote the letter.
At the time that you wrote the letter, Ashley, Were the contents fresh in your mind?
At the time, yes.
The letter was written in September 2017.
Yes, that's correct.
It's now 2024,
Yes, sir.
so 7 years ago.
Yes.
All right. Do your best
Okay.
to try to respond to a series of questions I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
What did you tell Doug?
Objection, yes.
Sustained. Sir, can we approach, please?
Yeah, maybe he's going to have to ask it a different way. Beth says, I think the question is when she wrote the letter can't be proved. I think there was a pretrial ruling on this, and for those of you who were watching the pretrial motions, if they were even televised, I'm not sure. And if you can let us know if I think there was a pretrial ruling on this letter, but she's taken the stand now. So if she needs it to refresh her recollection about what she wrote to Doug in September of 2017, which was shortly after she left him to move to her mother's house in Florida. I think the reasons that she left and why is she not allowed to tell her story, right? I don't know who this lady is. I guess they're saying it's hearsay because it's offered to prove the truth of what's in that letter, but really it goes to state of mind. Again, does the prosecution want the truth or do they want a
How did you
conviction?
feel about your personal safety when you left Doug?
I was scared.
What was it that made you uncomfortable?
There's a lot of things. Just the things that he'd done, like punching our dog and shooting the gun and different things he would say and do.
And were you afraid for just you?
I was pregnant at the time. I was scared for the baby.
Were there instances, Ashley, where you felt that your own safety had been placed in danger as a result of conduct by him?
Yes.
Can you give us some examples?
Oh,
His
I
cousin
guess
Tommy.
one thing that comes to mind is sometimes he would drive really scary, yelling and screaming at me and like running up on curbs. One time he almost hit a tree.
Did you strike that? Describe the kind of things that would be done to intimidate you.
He would get in my face. He'd yell at me. He'd come at me like he was going to hit me.
What about breaking things?
He would break things, smash things, threw things at me.
Driving crazy when she was in the car, running up on curbs. One time he almost hit a tree, trying to scare her. Crow Red Eye says the scary driving is common.
How would you describe, if you were using adjectives, his behavior?
Possessive, controlling, manipulative, aggressive, scary, unpredictable.
Sunshine Cheryl says probably threatening to crash the car.
Ashley, did you take any steps in addition to leaving this letter to protect yourself in South Carolina?
Yes,
What did you do?
I filed for a domestic violence injunction, like a protective order.
Ashley, I'd like to pass to you what we've marked as Defendants Exhibit 13A and 13B and ask you if you can identify them.
Okay.
Chicago Marie, he admitted to the animal abuse in text messages. And in therapy sessions as well, I believe.
Um, 13A is the
More approaching. Anonymous Canadian girl says, this is exactly how my ex started driving crazy. It's meant to scare the crap out of you and remind you you are not in control. Kim Richards, thanks for becoming a member. Glamasuse says, I'm shaking and feeling sick. This brings back bad memories. She's 100% honest. Prayers for Ashley. Thanks, Glamasuse, for the 10. And Nancy, thank you for the 10. Thank you and mods for being safe. Mods work really hard, you guys. Everyone thank the mods. My mods are amazing and very protective. Danielle Eagle-Eyed Smith, thanks for the 5. I've been in this situation, cornered in a bedroom, taking the butt whooping of my life, and I can feel her pain. I am so sorry for you, Danielle, that happened to you. I'm just a girl in the world, says I'm having such a visceral response to her testimony. Hugs to all my survivor sisters in the chat. Hugs right back to you. I'm just a girl in the world. Taurus Mom, Taro, thanks for the 5, says the shaking cannot be faked. I've been in her shoes and the fear is relived and her nervous system is taking over. Plus the fear of not being believed again. Thank you. Danielle Sky Eagle Smith says, until you've been in this very situation, you have no clue the hell it is. 18 years and I still
Ashley,
duck.
what was the date?
I still duck at a raised voice. Thank you, Danielle.
Did the court grant the injunction?
yes, sir.
Was there a hearing?
Yes, sir.
Were you present at the hearing?
Yes,
Was Doug present at the hearing?
yes.
Did the judge rule at the hearing?
From the bench, yes.
All right. What was the date of the hearing?
November 3rd, 2017.
I'm sorry?
November 3rd,
2017?
2017. Yes.
Okay, now, was that order that the judge decreed violated?
Yes.
By who?
By Doug.
How?
He sent me a package in the mail
sent you the package here in Florida from
Yes.
South Carolina?
Yes.
What was the package represented to be?
A birthday gift, I believe.
And did you open it?
Yes.
What happened?
Well, when I opened it, there was an overwhelming smell, like a real strong chemical smell, and I got like an instant headache.
Did you report it to the police?
Yes.
Thank you, Anne. Anne says if she was faking it, she would be showing signs of joy in sharing this. Good take. Eva is still not back in the courtroom.
Ashley, I'm going to pass to you what we've marked as defendant's exhibit number 14 and ask you if you can identify it.
Okay. What do I do with these? Okay. Yes.
What is it?
It's a picture of the package he sent to me.
Is it a true and accurate picture of the package that you received on that day in November?
The outside of it, yes.
All right, Your Honor, on behalf of Ms. Benefield, we move that into evidence.
No objection.
Received. Defendant's Exhibit 14.
What did you do with the package after you opened it?
I sealed it back up and I put it in the garage before I brought it to the sheriff's department.
Now, you told us when you received the package, aside from the contents giving you a headache, that it was in violation of the South Carolina restraining order.
Yes.
Did you, when you contacted the police, request that they take some action?
Yes.
What was the result?
No charges.
That was in Florida. Protective order was in South Carolina. They wouldn't enforce it. Oh my God, Sherry.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, Sherry. Hugs to Sherry, who says, my husband beat me. I lost my baby. Hugs to Sherry. I'm so sorry. Thank you to the mods. This is not an easy one. I see you. Thank you. This sounds just like the man who murdered my daughter. Driving, criticizing, videoing, controlling, narcissistic. I am so sorry about your daughter. Hugs to ICU. Heartbroken. No parent should ever have to bury a child, especially not under those circumstances. Dublin Girl, thank you for the super chat. You can tell it's true because it's not over the top or exaggerated. It's the mundane things that trigger them. I'm so glad that there are so many of you in the chat who have personal experience and that you can point a lot of things out to some people who might not understand. 20th Century Fox, thanks for the 5. I'm a Melanie too. Another Melanie? That's insane. It's a generational thing. I guess our name was really popular all the way back then. Can we comment on Eva's outfit? I prefer that we don't. Only because the white tank top feels intentionally symbolic and threatening. She left the room. I don't know if the prosecutor gave her a heads up, like you might not want to hear these text messages from your father and these things about your father, if she knew it was coming, if she just didn't want to be there, if she was called out for laughing and asked to leave. She had the right to be there, so I'm going to assume that either she was asked to leave or she didn't want to see it. Shay says Eva doesn't want everyone to know the truth about what she really already knows about Daddy Dear. She can't handle the truth. Shay, she might not know. But she said a lot of horrible things about Ashley on TikTok.
Were you subsequently notified, Ashley, by the state attorney's office here in Manatee County that no charges were to be filed?
Yes.
Do you remember the date that you were notified?
Not off the top of my
Let
head.
me show this to you and see if it refreshes your recollection.
Okay. At the top, it says October 8th, 2018.
Ashley, when did you give birth to Emerson?
March 19th, 2018.
Where was Doug when you gave birth?
He wasn't there. It was during the restraining order from South Carolina.
So he wouldn't have been allowed to have contact with you.
Correct.
Do you remember how long the South Carolina restraining order was to last?
I believe it was 6 months.
Does there come a time when you're concerned about the South Carolina restraining order expiring?
Yes.
So at or about the time of that, what steps, if any, did you take to protect yourself?
I filed for a domestic violence injunction here in Florida.
What was the result?
It was denied.
And was there any directive entered with respect to Emerson?
There was a time sharing agreement set up.
Shortly after that, or at or about the same time, was there additional litigation that you filed?
Yes.
Do you recall what it was for?
Divorce and termination of parental rights.
In the termination of parental rights petition, Ashley, did you tell the court?
Objection, hearsay.
It's a legal
Finish the
document.
question.
Did you advise the court in your petition about prior domestic acts of violence by Doug?
Yes.
I'm sorry. You may answer.
I'm sorry.
You're okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes.
She apologizes a lot.
Do you remember, or can you tell us today what you told the court?
I mean, not all off the top of my head.
Good.
You can answer.
I wouldn't
Overruled.
be able to tell it all to you off the top of my head from memory now.
Okay, let's see if I can refresh your recollection.
Show her the transcript. She tried to get a restraining order in Florida after her one in South Carolina expired, but they wouldn't grant her one. South Carolina court found grounds for an order of protection, which he violated by sending her that tea set, which was a veiled threat because he knew that she thought he was trying to poison her with the tea that he was feeding her. Shaylee, that's exactly what I'm pointing out, saying I'm sorry is a trauma response. I don't know who that redhead guy is in the gallery, but he's been laughing a lot throughout the testimony as well. Thank you, Bostonian, now for your $10 super sticker. That's very nice of you. Nancy says she's completely opposite of Amber Heard. She is traumatized, in my humble opinion. Thanks for the 5 yans. Hi, Kim. Still trying to join. I don't know. What's the deal, Kim? Thanks for trying to join. It's in the video description. There's a link. I don't know if you have an iPhone. I don't know if you have to close out the chat. YouTube kind of changed its formatting, but
Would you like me to read the whole thing, sir?
I'm sorry?
Do you want me to read the whole thing?
No.
Okay.
I would just like to ask you, has your recollection been refreshed?
I'm just getting to that part now.
Okay, then without referring to what's in front of you, tell us.
Well, can I
what you-
finish reading this section?
Remove the document
Yeah,
from.
you need to remove the document if the memory's been refreshed.
I just said I didn't finish reading that part.
So it needs to finish reading.
I'm sorry, take your time to finish reading.
Okay.
Coffee Cake, this is in Manatee County, Florida. Sean and Michelle coming in with the jokes. Sometimes we need to laugh or else we'll keep crying. Buster Murdoch. Buster Murdoch. The red hair. Pebbles 377 says nobody should be allowed to do that. The judge needs to tell the audience no reactions. Interesting because in the, was it the Chesna trial out of Norfolk County, Mass? And you can correct me if I'm wrong about the exact trial, but was it Judge Cannoni who said there will be no emotion in the courtroom, including from the decedent's wife? People were admonished for showing emotion or even crying in the gallery. And I don't want to call out Auntie Bev if that was not her case, if that wasn't the case that I'm thinking of. Was it Scott Bolton? Yep.
I don't expect you to remember all the details. I'm going to ask you for the high points.
Okay. Sorry. There's just a lot in here.
That's what it was. Mary says Cannoni chastised the wife of the dead cop for crying in the gallery. Justice for All says the only thing prosecutors should ask is what took you so long to off this monster?
So tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Ashley, the things that you had to say.
I talked about him punching Sully and kicking him, throwing our cat Snuffy, about him trapping me, grabbing me, yanking me, tripping me, shooting the gun in the house, punching holes in the walls. He trapped me in the closet, smash things like that.
All right. As part of the domestic violence injunction that you filed here in Florida, that was before Judge Moreland, was a deposition taken of Doug.
Yes,
Were you present?
yes, by phone.
Who else was present at the deposition?
My attorney, as well as Stephanie Murphy, Doug's attorney, and a court reporter.
Was the judge present at the deposition?
No.
They're going to try and get in some of Doug's
Were you able
admissions.
to hear the entire proceeding?
Yes, sir.
Did Doug make
Objection,
Approach.
Calls for hearsay. It's his testimony under oath. It's a formal proceeding. She told the Florida court all about his prior acts of violence, all about the animal abuse, all about how he yanked her, tripped her, shot the gun in the house, threw the loaded gun at her. That smashed into the wall, punched holes in the wall. And it was denied. No, Heather, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing in the other chats, but I'm going to say probably not. Do we dare peek at the chat here? A lone crime? All right, I'll do the poll. It says, how do you think Ashley's testimony is impacting her case? I'm going to say positively, but let's see what these people say. Negatively, 44%. Positively, 22%. Neutrally, 10%. Unsure, 24%. So 44% of the people in the chat over at Law and Crime think her testimony is affecting her negatively. Yep. Not a convincing I'm going to read some of the chat to you. Not a convincing cry though, but she hated him. Body language all over the place. She can't remember all the abuse. Guilty. Liar. Liar, liar, liar. Defense trying to end run the Doug deposition evidence in. Those are pieces of hair with gray for effect. Ashley looked into Eva's private diary. So now her lawyer is feeding her testimony. BS, guilty, guilty, guilty. So if you were wondering what they're saying over there, that's what they're saying. Yikes. And the Razzie Award goes to, I don't know, maybe you want to tell some of these, if there's anybody over there who needs to come watch it in a better, safer place. Yeah. No, they can't. They can't see it. Rona says those are the people who think abuse is okay. Yes, it is Law and Crime. Someone said, whose chat is that? That's the stream that we're watching because they have better audio than Court TV. Every time I put on Court TV, people say it's not loud enough. Debbie says, what's wrong with society? So many people still don't get it and think it's okay. I don't know. If we could all hit the like, there's 4,870 of you amazing people here today. If we could hit the like button, it would help the stream get pushed out so people know that there is a safe place to watch this testimony. Lori, thank you. Are they watching the same trial? That is crazy. Yep. Tonk says, wow, at least they ultimately don't matter. Hopefully the jury sees she's telling the truth. Somebody reported earlier today, a news station, that it was 5 women and 1 man that was going to be on the final jury, but I didn't know they picked the alternates already. The eye pencil is a type of a camera, Bernadette? Oh, so it's like a hidden camera that he was taking pictures of the ex-wife with that you use an eye pencil? That makes sense because it was that text from the former or his second late wife was about him surreptitiously videotaping her and taking pictures of her. So thank you for that. I thought maybe he was wearing eyeliner, but she said eye pencil. Thank you, Bernadette, for laying some knowledge on us. Like a spy camera?
Ashley,
Can we approach based on this as well?
Can we approach
Okay.
again? You just approached. This was Doug's 3rd marriage. Eye pencil is an eye camera. What does that mean? Oh, an eye camera, like eye, like iPhone. That's what I thought. EYE camera. This was Doug's, Ashley was Doug's third wife. His first marriage ended after 6 months when he was 28. Second marriage was Renee. They were together, I think, 15 years. Those are the ones we heard the text messages from, read into evidence earlier. I think they had some children together. She died in her sleep. She was found face down in her bed. Eventually, I think they ruled it some sort of undiagnosed heart condition, but Ashley began to become suspicious when she found those text messages and thought that she was being poisoned by Doug, that perhaps Doug had poisoned her as well. Okay, thanks for coming in from Canada. The state has to go after her. If they believe her self-defense, they'd have to admit they failed to protect her over and over again. That's a good point, Kay. Thanks for the super chat. Lisa Mills and Deb Wagner, thanks for joining. Thanks for becoming new members here. Sarah and Shock and Horror always comes in with some amazing comments, and thank you for the very generous super chat. Every day begins with an act of courage and hope, getting out of bed, said Mason Cooley. Sending love to everyone impacted in any way by Ashley's testimony. Thank you, Sarah. Herbert Wittard, thank you for the 5. When a 54-year-old man hooks up with a 24-year-old, he's seeking an ego-satisfying trophy, not a wife. Beware, young ladies. Kindness Cake says, thank you, Melanie. Best Karen Reed and now best Ashley Benefield trial coverage. Thank you, Kindness Cake. And I like your name. And we're just trying to be kind is all. We're just trying to remember that defendants are supposed to be innocent until if and when proven guilty. And even though, yes, she did shoot him, it doesn't mean she doesn't have an affirmative defense, a self-defense claim. Florida has a stand your ground law, which differs from many other states in that in Florida, you do not have a duty to retreat as you do in many other states. But she did retreat. She did try to get away from him based on her testimony. David, thanks for the 20, and says, please remember that it's not just women that are victims of DV. My ex-wife would hit me on several occasions. I didn't stand up to her until she slapped our 5-year-old daughter. I'm sorry, David. And that's the thing about DV. It knows no bounds, no racial bounds, no ethnic bounds, no gender bounds, no societal bounds, rich, poor. I mean, it crosses over into every single demographic, and it's so much more prevalent than people know or think. And so many people don't talk about it because there's so much shame and guilt involved, right? The control, oh, it must be my fault. I did something to deserve it. Well, they apologized, so maybe it won't happen again. And the cycles of DV and highs and lows, and the fact that it's such a weird trauma bond because a lot of times the victim is still in love with the person who's perpetrating the violence upon them. And so after the apologies, they think it's going to get better, and it doesn't. And then it escalates until something like this could potentially happen. Rob, thanks for becoming a new member. Colleen Miller, Karen Barrows, welcome. I think you're going to like it here. I'm just a girl in the world, says her submissive, overly apologetic responses are extremely telling. I'm so sad for her. Thank you for showing such empathy as always, and for the 5. Scorpio Moon has been a member for 3 months and says, it seems like we have lost the capacity for empathy. Not here, not in this community. Because when people start being mean and lashing out and start expressing hate towards people in the chat or attacking people, we give them a boarding pass and send them back to Troll Island. Right, Scott? I don't know if Scott's here today. Scott, are you here? Oh, here's Princess Mish. Princess Mish is here. We have amazing moderators who are very protective. And that's what makes it different. David said, unfortunately, my ex alienated our daughter. That is very common too. Parental alienation, right? That's a thing that happens. Kim, it might not work on an iPad for some weird reason. YouTube has a lot of glitches. And everything's been glitching lately. In addition to the worldwide crashing of the internet and every system out there. Did anybody have like major flight issues the other day? Were you trying to fly anywhere when this worldwide internet thing happened that affected like every single airline in addition to so many other things? Chloe Albert's Revenge, thanks for the 5. Haven't you guys heard? It's only okay to pew pew if someone makes a wrong turn on your property, not to stop your abusive husband. That's what it feels like, right? Well, let's see on StreamYard. I can't read this, but it comes from Murder Candy Podcast. Thanks for the 20, my dear. This will blow your mind. In Alabama, after you divorce, when years later go into a custody battle and had been through extensive DV during marriage, none of the DV can be brought up because it was prior to the divorce order. Wow. That is mind blowing. Thanks for coming in with that super chat, Murder Candy Podcast. Appreciate you. She didn't say pen. She said eye pencil. Yeah, somebody said an eye pencil was a camera. Karen says there's so many men who never say anything. That's why we're bringing a voice to these tough topics, Karen. I'm sorry, Catherine. I don't know. In the video description, there should be a link that should help. Must be an iPhone thing, maybe. It's not just Eva, but the lady with the short blonde hair she was laughing and talking to. I don't know who that woman is. I don't know who the older woman is that we were talking about in the purple in the gallery. And I don't think unless it's Ashley's paternal grandmother, because I think Ashley's maternal grandmother, her mother's mother, passed away and left her a house in Maryland. And that's why they were moving to Maryland. Right? So I don't know. Graphics Nuts says Alabama has some weird relationship laws. Always check your state. Always, always. Young Black economist, good to see you, girl. Some of these states have a long history of staying backwards. That's all I'll say about that. Oh, there you go. Thanks. You fixed your name. I don't know if it was because it was some sort of it just won't show up on StreamYard, it shows up on YouTube, which I have open on my phone, but not on StreamYard. Kara Fink says, I'm way behind. I had to adult and get groceries. You got to get them delivered, girl. But as a teen who grew up with an abusive parent, the black eyes is so accurate. So many of you are saying that. It was something that I was not aware of, but when she described Doug as not looking like himself and seeming like a different person, she said his eyes were black. And so many of you are pointing this out. I had never heard that before. So that's new to me. Lauren McCarthy is pointing out Ashley is shaking. She's hysterical. She's terrified all over again. I'm devastated for her. Jazzia, 1969. There's still some archaic laws out there. It's shocking. Janelle Walton says, I'm a little behind, but one of the worst things my ex did was threaten to off himself in front of me. It's the worst. I feel so awful for her. And we saw that he did that also to his second wife, Renee, because those text messages came in, the messages that Ashley found on an old iPad or something. So it seems to be a common MO to keep control over you so that you stay, threatening to off themselves, right? Crystal, welcome. Became a new member. Bless Mom from Texas, always in here with the generosity. Welcome, all new cupcakes. We are so happy to have all of you. This is our safe place. Sending love to all warriors. So proud of y'all. Sub up, it's free. Hit the bell. Remember to be cool, kind, and classy. Thank you.
Ashley, I'm going to pass to you what's been marked as defense exhibit number 17.
Okay.
and ask if you can identify her.
Jules is in the courtroom. She says jurors are not looking at Ashley during all these sidebars. They're looking down or straight ahead. Gallery is getting restless and it's like a freezer in here. Can't wait for lunch to get warm. Well, at least it's not like the Norfolk County Superior Courthouse that was so hot that the judge threatened to turn off the air conditioning if the witnesses didn't speak up. Have to send Jules a blanket.
Ashley, do you recognize that?
Yes, sir.
Tell us what it is.
There are text messages between me and Doug.
And do they truly and accurately reflect texting back and forth between you and Doug?
Yes.
On behalf of the defense, Your Honor, we move into evidence defense exhibit number 17.
Objection overruled. Defendant's exhibit 17 will be received.
All right, good. Text messages between Ashley and Doug.
Ashley, in defense exhibit number 17, the text messages, does Doug admit to shooting the gun in the house?
Yes.
Does he admit to throwing the gun at you?
Yes.
Does he admit to punching holes in the drywall of the house?
Yes.
Does he admit to punching the dog and rendering him unconscious?
Yes.
Objection, no, he does not.
Objection to what?
Those text messages do not say that.
If I'm going to sustain, if you want to publish the exact
Yeah,
Yes, we
exhibit that's been admitted, you can do so.
let's do it.
intend to publish upon completion of the examination. I want to ask you, Ashley, if I can, about other instances of abusive conduct. Was a tracker any time placed on your car?
Yes.
Was it done with your permission?
No.
Did Doug no, hold on.
Put a tracker on her car. Texts are coming in. Crime Girl 420. Jurors aren't going to sit and stare at her during long sidebars because would just be awkward for anyone, right? And they also just may be uncomfortable listening to this. Some of them may have personal experience with this. So I don't know that the jurors not looking at her is a sign of them not believing her. They're watching her when she's on the stand.
While the state is reviewing that, Ashley, I'm going to pass to you defendants exhibits 19 and 20. Tell us, if you would, what they depict.
Holes in the drywall of the house, our house in South Carolina.
Refer to them specifically. Exhibit number
19 has a
what does that
picture
show?
of a hole in the drywall with my hand next to it. It's kind of been like pushed back in.
Is it a true and accurate production of what existed at that time?
Yes.
All right, and the next one?
20 has a picture of a hole, like a fist hole through the drywall in our home.
Okay, is it a true and accurate photograph of that?
Yes.
On behalf of the defense, Your Honor, we move them into evidence.
State, any objection to defense 19 and 20?
No.
Received.
Margie points out, not staring at her may be a sign of respect and that Ashley is already distraught on the stand. They may not want to add to her stress. And Bridget says maybe the jury does not want her to feel even more uncomfortable than she already is. Poor Midnight Mike went over to the long crime chat. They think she's faking and want justice for Doug. Cesspool over there. Dude, what are you doing, Mike? Did you just want to go see? Just to see if anybody changed their mind about victims? David Reese, thanks for the 5, says they started watching the Karen Reed trial on Law and Crime and the chat was disgusting. I don't think they have moderators, right? Do they not have moderators over there? Cheryl, thanks for becoming a member. Welcome. Anna Anon, thanks for the 5. Not a DV Vic, but I had postpartum OCD. I was crying uncontrollably in my psych's office, but no tears. He said it happens, especially on some meds like Wellbutrin. Thanks, Anna. Thanks, Tara Jean. Everyone hit the
Ashley,
like.
did Doug admit to placing an illegal tracker on your vehicle?
Yes, in a message to me.
Did you report that to the police?
Yes,
What was the result?
no charges.
Were there incidents, Ashley, where Doug would appear unexpectedly?
Yes, a lot.
And how would that come about? Can you give
I-
us an example?
I'd be driving down the road and I'd see him in the rearview mirror, a couple cars behind me, or he'd be right behind me. Or sometimes he would show up at places that I was just unexpected. I'd see him, or like in the parking lot.
And was this while you were living here in Manatee?
Yes, I was living here
And where was Doug living at the time?
in South Carolina.
How could he do that?
He was driving here.
Was this also during the time that the
He was driving from South Carolina to Florida to follow her around and show up at places that she would be. And she reported the illegal tracker being placed on her car by Doug, and there were no charges brought. Okay? Anybody recognize any of this behavior? Driving from South Carolina to Florida to follow her around?
South Carolina injunction was in place?
Both then and after as well.
It's just a piece of paper in the end, folks.
Did you report those incidents to the police?
Yes,
What was the result?
no charges.
Was there an incident with a neighbor, Ashley?
Yes.
What happened? Ashley,
She,
were you present
yes,
for the incident?
yes, he was outside in the yard at night looking in the windows of my house.
What is the neighbor's name?
Marianne Croft,
And was this reported to the police?
yes,
Did they respond?
yes, they came out.
Was it daytime or nighttime?
It was nighttime.
In your presence, was an identification made that it was Doug?
Yes,
What was the result?
no charges.
Was there an incident, Ashley, where you and your mother came home to find someone in the driveway of your home?
Yes,
Who was it?
it was Doug.
What did he do when he saw you?
He was on foot in front of the house, and when he saw us, he took off running.
Did you call the police?
Yes, I had to call several times before they sent someone out.
Did they take a report?
They did, but by the time they finally got there, he was long gone.
What was the result?
No charges.
I want to introduce what we've marked as Defendants Exhibit 23 and 24. Can you identify that?
Yes.
What does 23 show?
23 is a picture of Doug with his shirt off. He's like taking a selfie.
And is that how Doug looked at or about the time of the shooting on the 27th?
Yes.
All right, and what does the next exhibit show?
It's also a picture of Doug with his shirt off. He's working out. He's like doing like a push-up, I guess.
Does that too accurately represent what Doug looked like on the day of the homicide?
Yes.
Your Honor, on behalf of the defense, we move those two exhibits into evidence.
Any objection? Received?
Just one or two more questions, Ashley. Was there a time back around May of 2020 where you wanted to learn about co-parenting
Google searches.
with an abuser?
Yes.
Objection. Previous ruling.
Sustained.
To
What if
the
she was
question, Your
Googling-
Honor, or to the line of inquiry?
To the question.
Okay. Did you take any steps, Ashley, to try to determine how to co-parent?
Yes.
All right, and what was that?
I did some like Googling and reading to try to find helpful articles on what to do to make things
I'm going
good.
to pass to you what we've had marked as Defense Composite Exhibit 4, A, B, C, and D.
Objection, yeah, previous ruling, excuse me.
Can you approach?
So we saw this on direct. We saw when the Celebrite analyst slash detective who was in charge of extracting Ashley's phone took the stand. They entered in some friendly text messages between Ashley and Doug on the date of the incident. And then on cross, the defense wanted to enter some Google searches that were also extracted from Ashley's phone, where she Googled in May of 2020 how to co-parent with an abusive ex and things like that. They wouldn't let it in the state's case in chief. But now Neil Taylor is trying to get it in on Ashley's behalf because she was trying to get along. If she was Googling things such as how to kill a 5'9" man with big muscles who's very fit and carries a loaded firearm around at all times, which he did, they would definitely be using that against her, don't you think? But when she's Googling articles about how to co-parent with an abusive ex instead of how to kill one, they don't want it to come in. Right? So, shield and sword, either Celebrite is accurate or it's not, and they're objecting a lot because this hurts their entire case, says Blessed Mom from Texas. Yep. Tara Jean, thank you, says, hit the like. I'm 100% on Ashley's side after this. Chica, thanks, Chica. Doug reminds me so much of Micah Miller.
Defendants. Oh, go ahead. Just have you.
Thank you. We pass you defendant's exhibit number 4.
No, I already ruled on authenticity in the past. So over the state's objection, admitted.
Thank you.
Admitted. Because the state's expert.
Take a look at
authenticated it.
Exhibit 4A, Ashley. What's the date?
5/11/2020.
And did you do an internet search on 5/11/23?
2020. Yes.
2020 rather?
Yes.
And will you tell us what the subject you researched was?
Domestic co-parenting with an abuser.
All right, and would you go to Exhibit 4B? What's the date of 4B?
5/11/2020.
Did you do an internet search then?
Yes.
What was the subject you researched?
Ask Amanda, how do I co-parent with an abuser?
All right, and 4C?
Yes.
What's the date of 4C?
5/11/2020.
And did you do an internet search then as well?
Yes.
What was the subject?
Co-parenting versus parallel parenting with an abusive ex, the Good Men Project.
All right, and lastly, 4D. What's the date of 4D?
5/11/2020.
Did you do an internet search?
Yes.
What was the subject?
6 tips to help you co-parent with an abusive ex.
All right, Your Honor, I think I'm finished if you just give me one moment.
Okay, so the Google searches came in from May of 2020. How to co-parent with an abusive ex. Ask Amanda, how do I co-parent with an abuser? 6 tips to co-parent with an abusive ex. And those were done, they were extracted from Ashley's phone by the Manatee County Sheriff's Office. I think it was it Detective Keelis who was on the stand yesterday?
Actually, I'm going to pass you what's been previously admitted as defense exhibit number 6.
Okay.
Do you recognize it?
Yes.
What is it?
It's a whole chain of emails that were forwarded to me by my attorney.
And what is the date it was forwarded to you on?
It says Wednesday, September 23rd of 2020.
Did you read it?
Yes. I mean, do you want me to reread it now or?
Did you read it when it was forwarded to you?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead. Can the attorneys approach, please?
Maybe they're going to break for lunch before cross. It's 11:40 here on the East Coast, which is where Florida is on East Coast time. Alan Jackson for president, gifted a membership. Thank you, Alan Jackson for president. I love your screen name. Thank you so much. Bobby Costa, thank you so much for your super sticker. Wendy DeBorchgrave, thanks for the 10. I'm behind. OMG, I just hear Ashley say, you're lucky I punched the wall instead of you. I have childhood memories of hearing my dad say this to my mom. I'm so sorry, Wendy. Wolfie Muse, thank you for the 2. I had a manic episode on Wellbutrin. That's interesting. Thank you for sharing. Catherine Green, thanks for becoming a member. Lissy B's heart breaks for Ashley. Thanks, Lissy, for tuning in from Australia for your super chat. Beck Edwards, can the judge throw the charges out? I'm outraged.
Take your honor, you can step down.
Okay. Should I?
Just leave everything here.
Okay. Can I throw this out? Okay.
Members of the jury, it's about 11:45, so I'm going to let you go on your lunch break at this point. If I could have you guys back downstairs in that jury assembly room by 1 o'clock. And when I say by 1 o'clock, maybe 5 till, because the goal will be to go ahead and get you on up here and get started right around 1 o'clock this afternoon. Please remember, do not discuss this case amongst yourselves in any way, shape, or form. Don't discuss it with anybody outside of this jury, and do not do any research, watch television, read articles, anything at all about the people, places, things, or legal topics we've heard anything about. All right, leave your notes just right there on your chair, and we'll see you back right at 1 o'clock.
All right, so they're coming back at 1.
All right, you all can have a seat. Ms. Benefield, when we had taken that break earlier, I had instructed you that you're in the middle of your testimony. You still are, because now the state's going to have the opportunity to do its cross-examination. The rule of sequestration applies to you. You may not discuss your testimony, any questions that have been asked with you, anything about the case, including with your own attorneys and defense team. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. Otherwise, you guys are free to go, and we'll see you back here. Just maybe a couple of minutes, as I said, state and defense, maybe just a couple of minutes before 1 o'clock, with the goal of getting everybody up here and started right at 1.
Okay.
All right? Exhibits, the clerk's checking right now. Parties, stay still until the clerk tells me that she has all of the exhibits that have been entered or proffered. Wait, 4A through D, you had proffered, but then you took them back?
I believe she.
Okay. Those are the same ones?
Yes, sir.
You didn't remark new ones?
No.
All right.
See if they're going to talk about anything. Thank you, Mike Nichols, so much for your super sticker. I appreciate you.
I need 13A, B. Defense 13A and B. Oh, you know what? Those weren't admitted.
Right. Not admitted.
Right. No, so they weren't admitted. It was referenced and then that was it. Okay, all right, you guys are all set. Have a good lunch.
Thank you.
It's,
Okay, I'm going to set the afternoon stream for 12:20. Jules, I'm going to send you the link for that stream. Jules, I'm going to give you an opportunity to go eat lunch. And if you'd like to call in at 12:20, that'd be great. Jojo says, member for 2 months. Weren't you the one who tried to break me with desire? You thought I'd crumble. Did you think I'd lay down? Oh no, not I will survive. Thank you so much, Jojo, for knowing that I think in song lyrics. And for being such a great contributor to the channel. Here's what we're going to do, my friends. We're going to teleport on over to the afternoon stream. We're going to start at 12:20. Jules is going to call in from court. I'm going to send her the link now so that everyone can take a quick break. And Jules can give us her views from inside the courtroom. Remember, my friends, be cool, be kind, be classy until we meet again. Safe travels on your teleportation. And please, mods, take a break. This is a tough topic. All of you need to take a break too. And go get something to eat or drink, a snack, something like that. I will see you at 12:20. Hold on, let me make sure this teleportation is set up properly. All right, everyone, safe travels. Be cool, be kind, be classy. Until we meet again in a few minutes. Bye. You don't want to miss it.